Okay guys, I hope you had fun doing those questions. This really was revisiting those three lessons 11, 12 and 13, and I wanted to revisit them because this is such a simple but yet so much overlooked point of English language writing, in business, in law, in virtually every area of English written communication, and it's something that as a message that has got to be repeated time and time again. Okay, so let's have a look at some suggested answers, and please remember, because of the way that these are written, we don't know exactly what the question is, and indeed in some of my suggested answers I'm going to be looking at what could be meant, which perhaps isn't obvious, but could be within the limits of what was originally written. So please advise why the invoice hasn't been received yet. Could you find out why we haven't received the invoice? So you're asking, so the context would be, you said you've sent the invoice, we haven't received it yet, so where in the process has something gone wrong? And in that, could we find out where the invoice is? So this could be what the person really meant to say. For question number 2, I would appreciate it if you could confirm the details ASAP. And you can see that this isn't a question, this is a demand. And of course you might think that that's okay because everyone else is doing that, so I can do that, right? No. If there is a hierarchy and someone lower down in the hierarchy wrote in such a way to someone higher up in the hierarchy, then I can tell you now, in the coffee room at lunchtime, there would not be such a pleasant atmosphere. So how could we write that instead? Could I ask you to confirm the details ASAP? Simple, straightforward, a lot less words. There's nothing wrong in itself with using ASAP if the context is okay. I mean, I think ASAP used to be a piece of language which went down. That is to say, it went down the hierarchy. But now I think it's much more neutral in its application. So you can say ASAP to lots of different people as long as there is a question mark and as long as you use an indirect question form. Okay, for question number 3, it would be great if this could be done by 5 p.m. today. There is that kind of passive-aggressive nature to this, where this isn't really a question at all, it is a demand. It would be great means I want you to do this by 5 p.m. today, which once again, it depends on the context. If you're a boss and you're speaking to someone who's working underneath you, then you might get away with this. But if you're getting this in the wrong way round, then all kinds of trouble could start if you were going to write in this way. And if you're writing B2C, business to client, and you're writing in such a way to a client, then once again, you could potentially be opening up a can of worms. What would be an alternative using a different indirect question form? Would it be possible for you to do this by 5 p.m. today? Okay, it sounds airy-fairy, but this is polite, it's clear, and it clearly is intended at giving the reader a choice. That is to say, it invites the reader to say, yes, I can, no, I can't, but it's very much the reader's decision. If we wanted this to be a little bit stronger, that is to say, I'm asking you a question, but I need it to be done, then it would be, could I ask you to do this by 5 p.m. today? That sounds a little stronger. So there's a nice dynamic to think about between would you and could you in terms of strength of message. For question number 4, the updated result figures need to be entered into the spreadsheet. Once again, it's a demand. It's not a question. What would the question look like? Could you enter the updated result figures into the spreadsheet? Could you? Would it be possible for you to do that? So there's a number of forms that you could choose here. And question number 5, wouldn't it be a good idea for people to be on time? You can just imagine a manager, an unhappy manager saying this to his workforce who are late to a meeting or late after lunch. What would be an appropriate question? Could I ask you all to be on time from now on? So it's a question, it's an indirect question form, it's got a question mark on there, but it doesn't really leave a choice. It's very, very clear what the intended message is. So although it is a question, Sometimes questions, even indirect questions, can be direct and leave no interpretation about what is expected.